Hi, I'm Karen.
And I'm Elise,
Welcome back to Poodle People,
where we talk about all things poodles. Just a friendly reminder that we're not licensed veterinarians, professionals, or handlers. We're just poodle people.
Hey, Elise.
Hey, Karen. How's it going?
Great. How about you?
Peachy keen, as usual.
Yeah,
Never gonna
I love
deviate from that one.
Good. Please don't.
How's it going this week?
Elise, I've had a big week. Well, my puppies have.
Yeah, they've all gone to their new homes, right?
Well, 4 of them have gone to their new homes over the weekend. And it is so exciting because the new owners are sending me pictures and videos, and they're meeting children and, getting out in the world and playing with cats and playing with other dogs. So it's really exciting and heartwarming and just lovely.
That's awesome. And you got to make such a nice impact on all these people. That's wonderful. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, I've had such luck with all of my buyers. They're really just wonderful people. I have a lot of dogs going into service or therapy from this litter, so that's really exciting and nerve-wracking, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure because they're
Yeah,
only what, 11 weeks old this week. So I mean, they got the rest of their lives.
right. And I hope that they are successful. I did my best, but that's, I can't. So I'm just hopeful, and it's exciting.
It's up to them now. That is really
Yeah,
exciting. I'm
yeah.
happy for you. I
It's really,
remember
yeah,
getting the puppy for the first. I remember getting Winnie at first, and just the things that they know, but then there's just stuff that you don't realize that this little being has never seen. Like the first time Winnie saw an oscillating fan, oh my gosh, she was sitting there and the fan would turn and oscillate and her little head would turn and
yes,
oscillate in the first, you know
yeah,
what I mean? Just little
yeah,
things you would never think of. And it's so fun, I think, to see a new little being, especially some another species. They're just taking all this in.
yeah.
Through their eyes for the first time, and how they're learning, and their confidence and how that grows, and I don't know, my nerdy self is all about that kind of thing. So I think
Yeah,
that's wonderful. I'm just so excited for all your new families.
they're really going to very active families, and they are already doing things.
Oh, good.
One of the puppies, even though I had just bathed him, has already had another bath. So, they're really going to be busy, and I think it'll be really good and exciting. And the house seems really quiet.
Yeah, I was gonna say I called you earlier to make sure everything was all set up and ready to go for our recording today, and I
So,
didn't hear the big dogs. I didn't hear the little dogs. I was like, "Are you all right over there? Are they okay?" I haven't heard a peep out of anyone.
I know. Yeah. It's
Everyone
a
is taking a well-deserved nap because puppies are a lot.
transition. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's so exciting.
How about you? What did you do?
We've honestly, it's been really busy for us, the people. So we haven't done a lot with Winnie lately. We My boyfriend's grandparents invited us over for a game of cards. We play canasta with them every once in a while. Especially now that the weather's getting cooler and they'll be in the valley for a little bit longer periods. We'll probably start going over there more often. But they have a nice big backyard. They have a pool. They have dogs. So Winnie enjoys going over there and taking over and being the boss lady as she tries to be. But we enjoy doing that. It was nice to socialize with the people, and it was nice for Winnie to socialize with her little friends. But yeah, it's very, very low key and chill. Not nearly as exciting and as much going on as what you had. But
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Both things are good. I feel like I have just been going for the past 10 weeks, and now,
You have.
uh,
It's
yeah,
because you have.
yeah. And I packed each, things up for each puppy, and sent them off into the world and said goodbye.
Yeah.
Um, and
Oh,
I'm overall quite excited, not sad,
that's good.
but excited. Yeah, yeah, they're going to such great people, and I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah.
And I still have two home with me, so that
Yeah.
helps.
I mean, I'm excited to see what your little one will do in the future. I'm excited for her.
She's very brave. She wanders around the yard and goes exploring by herself, which is interesting.
Oh man. I bet.
And I'm getting to spend some time with Ursula, and I'm really falling in love with her too. She's a
Oh,
doll.
oh, that's so nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think your little Mary over there being so independent, she may have a good friend in Grace exploring together. My favorite
Um,
my favorite trait that Karen's ever told me about Grace is that she likes to chase the butterflies in the backyard, and I think that is the most delightful, sweet thing anyone like. It's just so wholesome. She sends me videos. It is so wholesome. Maybe Mary will also be a little bit of an adventurer like her auntie Grace.
I think Grace is, they broke the mold. Um,
Yeah.
but yes, she does chase butterflies. She has been chasing leaves because it's fall and the
Oh,
leaves are coming down.
that's so
Um,
cute.
I should have gotten video for you because it's just like chasing butterflies. She stands there and waits, and you can tell with every wag of her tail, because her tail is just going furiously. She is waiting
Oh.
for leaves to come down, and she wants to try and catch them all.
You
Yeah.
should blow bubbles for her.
Oh, I should.
She might like
I've
that.
never done that. Yeah.
Winnie likes those. I don't know that there are necessarily like any that are made for pets that are technically pet safe, but maybe one or two bubbles will be okay. Winnie likes
Yeah.
them. She thinks she likes to snap at them. It's cute,
Yeah.
but oh,
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
I forgot she did that with the leaves. I think I remember when I lived out near you, I'd
Yeah.
come over one afternoon and she was just out in the yard having the time of her life. Like I think we should all have like a grace day where you just do you and you just go chase those leaves or butterflies and that's all you have to worry about and it just sounds so nice and kind of
Yeah.
relaxing. Oh man. Well, that's great. I'm happy for you. That's wonderful.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much, Karen, for catching me up on your pup dates. I wouldn't miss one for the world. I think our next segment will be particularly exciting to our listeners. We have a very special guest coming up. He's the owner and founder and principal scientist of GenSol Diagnostics. So it's like a doggy DNA company. Let's get into it.
So tonight our guest is Dr. Halpern. He is the owner and founder and principal scientist at GenSol. And I have to admit that I know GenSol because I use GenSol for all of my dogs' genetic testing. And I just kind of lucked into it without knowing much about the other companies. And it was just recommended to me by another breeder. So we're really excited to have someone with a product that I use. Um, Dr. Halpern, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about GenSol?
Yeah, sure. And thank you guys for having me on the show.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
a pleasure. Yeah, so I'm based my background. I'm a molecular biologist, and I pretty much have been working on DNA for probably over 25 years now. And probably about 12, 13 years ago, we got a puppy named Dexter, and he ended up having a genetic disease that we didn't know about, but later found out that he had it, and the breeder hadn't tested for it because of the cost, and at that time it was really expensive to even test a single dog for a single genetic disease. So we just kind of looked at the industry and decided that it was time for a change. And knowing what I knew about DNA, I kind of jumped in and we started the company, and it pretty much took off from there.
That's fantastic. How many employees do you have now?
We're about 10 people. We're relatively small. We're
Yep.
not a large company, but we're able to do what we do primarily because we use a lot of technology and automation.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, there's not a lot of us, but we do a lot of work here. It gets pretty
Really
busy.
neat.
Yeah, but it's been good. It's been great.
You have amazing customer service too. I've called with different problems and they've immediately been able to help me. Either I know I've called and talked to your coat color geneticist, and I will admit that I also left the test out around a puppy once.
Hmm.
And
It happens all the time.
yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah.
It was so embarrassing, but yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
your customer service is great.
yeah, thank you. That's one of the things we pride ourselves on. I mean, we started this because we knew that there was a place for this. We started with a mission to pretty much, prevent dogs with genetic disease, and part of that was obviously helping folks that, this can be a little complex to understand, but through customer service and education, we
Right.
try and help people understand what this is. And we try to give people the opportunity to, have an accessible tool that they could use, particularly for breeders, that, some information that they can go ahead and use to make better decisions.
Um, I love it because, when I'm testing my dogs, it's really not scary to pay for the tests. They're really quite affordable and you have great sales and all of those things that make the company really attractive. But talk to us a little bit about price point and the market and who your competitors are.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because that's one of the driving factors behind what we did, was to make this affordable.
Yeah,
Our little catchphrase is fast, accurate, and affordable.
yeah.
And that's part of it, because we wanted to make this really accessible to people so that they can use it. So we actually have recently made a change to our offerings, and we actually kind of switched from having sales to now we offer our best price every day, which
Oh,
starts, yeah, we didn't want to make it so people had to wait for a sale, because different people breed at different times, and we didn't want
right.
to limit access. So
Yeah.
our test started at $29.90 for the first test, and then pretty much as you add tests to, we call them panels, but really it's just a collection of tests. And we're happy to introduce, actually, we only launched this a couple months ago. We've got fully customizable breed specific panels, which pretty much means that when you go on our site, we'll recommend, you go to your breed, we'll
Hmm.
recommend the tests that, based on scientific literature, based on consultations we have with health committee chairs and different sources, we make the recommended test, but we leave it really up to the customer to decide, well, what tests are important to me. So the test start at $29.90 for the first test, but as you add more tests to your panel, the price per test just decreases from there.
Yeah,
That's
that's
really
great.
cool. Yeah, I like
And
that.
it's really nice because, other people, as I've been breeding, I've looked at other tests, but they have things that I don't need to know.
Yeah.
Like I know I have standard poodles.
Yeah.
That's what I breed. So, to me, I'm sure it's nice for a lot of people, but those are things that I don't need. I need to know, are they carrying disease or hereditary issues?
Yes.
So I like the focus.
Yeah,
Um,
that's actually, you're hitting on one of the main reasons why we kind of revamped our offering and sort of changed. Because when we started this, everything was an individual test. There were companies that came out that kind of offer, everything under the sun, like you're talking about,
mhm.
which there's a place for that. But
Yep.
again, our mission, our focus is really to help provide people the information they need as quickly, as affordably as possible, so that they can make decisions. And like you said, you don't need a lot of extra stuff that don't help you make the decision you need to make. So
Right.
that's where, again, that's where the affordability comes in. And it can be different breeders. If let's say a mutation's not in your line, you might not need to test for it. So go ahead and uncheck that box, take it off the list so that you're not paying for something that you don't need.
So is the panel the same thing that you're now offering for clubs? Do I have that right? That you're offering something for?
Well, we offer the same. So we offer the same product for everyone. We actually have 3 different customer types that tend to use our services: breeders, veterinarians, and pet parents. And we have the same offerings for everyone for the most part. So the tests are the same, but we offer different promotions. So
Okay.
yeah, we do have Breed Club discounts or a Breed Club partner program where, yeah, it's very simple to sign up for. It's on our website, but basically we work with breed clubs to give them a discount, you know, for their members. And we've added a lot of other promotions to help, you know, reduce the price.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and it's important too I think it's important to genetically test your dogs. I mean, I know like with poodles, we have specific health tests with OFAs and things like that, but I think there's a huge benefit to knowing kind of what your dog, like what their stuff is, like what they're made up of, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's helpful.
Yeah, no,
And
it's great. It helps you make better decisions as a breeder. I mean, as a pet parent,
yeah,
unfortunately, lots of the diseases we test for don't show up till later.
right.
Right.
So, you know, for a pet parent, it's great information knowing what might be ahead. We're actually a great example of that. Our dog Dexter, you know, he just turned 13, and
Oh wow.
and probably about a year ago, he started showing symptoms. You know, he's basically has PRA, PRCD, which
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and usually that tends to kick in anywhere from 4 to 8 years of age, somewhere in there. But you know, we've had him on a good diet and some supplements, and we've prolonged it. But yeah, unfortunately it was something we knew that was coming. So just
Right.
knowing that helped us plan for what was coming ahead. Um,
So do you see a huge change? You know, what year did you say you started? Like 2008 when you were thinking about entering the market?
Yeah, we started thinking about it around then, and then right around 2010, we got Dexter, and then right around 2014 is when we launched the company.
So 2014 doesn't sound that long ago, but in terms of the technology, I'm going to bet that things have changed pretty drastically. Am I right?
They have in some respects. It depends on the company. So that is the way that we make things affordable and very quick. I mean, we turn around a result in about 24 to 48 hours from when a sample gets to the laboratory rather than weeks. Because
Yeah.
you know, it's hard to, as a breeder, it's hard to make decisions about your litter if you don't have test results. So so we basically used technology to, you know, to make that kind of offering. There are newer technologies that came online in this industry. They're ones that already existed, but they applied to dog genetic testing. And mainly it is those companies that offer you, you know, 200 tests for, you know, X amount of dollars. And which again is for some people that's good information, but as far as, you know, affordability, turnaround time, it doesn't get people the information they need.
Right. So are there any trends that you are seeing in terms of tests changing, people asking for different things? Like what does your customer service report to you?
Yeah, well, there are some classic tests that, for mutations that, you know, have been already known that were found, you know, a few years ago that, you know, we test for. I think what's really more up and coming is there are a lot of researchers out there that are looking for mutations that are not known right now. So there
Okay.
might be a disease, and because really all of this stuff, you know, really originates at a university.
Right.
It starts with, you know, pretty much researchers collaborating with breeders. You know, that breeders are really the first place where, you know, someone realizes there's a problem,
Yeah.
and they get in touch with breeders, they get in touch with the researcher, and that researcher then collects samples and you know, tries to go and find the mutation responsible for the disease that they're seeing. So, and that's happening more and more. One of the innovations that really has kicked really made this progress faster is basically they sequence the dog genome.
Yep.
They have a lot more information available. And not only that, but dogs actually turn out to be a really good model for studying human disease.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, lots of diseases in dogs. Sometimes it's the exact same gene in human beings that leads to the same disease.
Oh, wow. That's
So
cool.
yeah, that's been a push recently. So really on the horizon is probably more and more research to look at more
Yeah.
diseases to find these mutations. And as soon as they find them, we can screen for them.
That's
Yeah,
really
that's
cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
So do you see branching out to other animals, or other species, horses, cats?
Yeah, it's on our radar. We've got our
Cool.
hands full with dogs right now, but that's
Yeah.
that actually is the great thing about DNA. DNA is DNA no matter what you get it from. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
our process, our testing, everything would work on a horse, it would work on a cat, it would work on a human being.
That is
Wow,
so
that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you there? I was looking through y'all's website. I was
Yeah.
doing myself some little research. Are there any like specific? I know y'all have like packages for different breeds, but do you guys have like a specific package like for each? I don't want to say like style of poodle because that's not at all what we call them. But
yeah.
but like for standard
Guys,
miniature toy.
yeah.
Sorry, I had a total blank right now.
Sorry. Usually me who's doing
Yeah.
that. I think of a word and you help me.
Oh,
Yeah,
style of
whatever you
poodle.
call those
Yeah.
little ones,
Variety of poodle. You have the standard miniature and
Yes.
toy. Do you guys have different packages you could build like per variety, or is it just kind of a pick and choose like add-on take off kind of thing?
Well, if you look at, so we do have what we have recommended panels, which is again based on research,
Sure.
that's out there, and it tends to be similar between standard miniature and toy,
Yeah.
with a couple exceptions. Like there's a mutation for it's the short version of its OCD, but it's osteochondroplasia.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that typically is going to affect toys and miniatures more than standards, but we do list it for standard poodles. But the nice thing about how we've structured it is you can go with our recommendation. We've actually had poodle breeders contact us about other mutations that we test for in other breeds that the researchers hadn't found or hadn't tested for in poodles, but as breeders, they knew that mutation was in their lines. So that's why we made everything customizable. So you can either start with our recommended tests. You can actually build your own panel from scratch if you know the tests that are important to you and your breed, your line. Pretty much it's wide open. I mean, we leave it as flexible as possible for people to choose what they need, so that again they're not spending more than they need to. They're only getting the information they need.
That's really neat.
Yeah, and it really comes into play for. We also test for things like coat color and coat type.
I was gonna ask. I'm sure. I feel like people. The first thing you notice on the dog you're looking at is what color it is, but not everybody thinks about what went into making it that color, which I think is really cool.
Well, and the thing is you can't. So if you've got a breeding pair, you can't always look at the breeding pair and tell what you're going to get from the puppies.
It's true.
That's
true.
It gets back to this is kind of high school biology, but you've got basically recessive mutations, which means you have to have two copies of it to see it. Well, you can have two parents that each carry one copy of, let's say, the mutation for chocolate or brown. Those dogs are not going to be chocolate or brown, but sure enough, some of the puppies are.
Right.
Yeah.
Get your Punnett squares out.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. Right back to high school.
Yep.
And unfortunately that is the same thing with disease too. Lots of things we test for are recessive. So unfortunately, you won't see the disease in the breeding pair, but you will unfortunately see it in the puppies.
That's true.
Yeah.
I know I did my dog's name is Winnie. She's 3, and I'm a nerd. I just like to know this kind of stuff about You know, so I was like, well, I should just get my dog genetically tested, even though I know she's a poodle. I pretty like her parents were, so I kind of knew what I was getting into. But I did know that her mom was a recessive carrier for hold on, I know what it's called. I have to look it up. I have it tested here. I have to say the whole degenerative myelopathy. Sorry, that's
For
gonna be a
DM.
mouthful.
Yes,
for DM, and I was like, well, I know her mother's like recessive for it, but I want to make sure, like, because I researched what that does and like how it affects them. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I better. That's one of those things I'd rather have it, not need it, than need it, not have it, as far as the information goes. And we got lucky, and she's all good. But
Yeah, she's clear. Yeah.
I had to know, you know, and I think this is just such a cool idea for people. I mean, people like me who just want to know what their dogs are made of. I just think that is so fantastic. I just think it's so fascinating.
Well, and it does help people. That DM, unfortunately, that's a tough one. That's one that also pops up later in a dog's life. I mean, it can be as late as 8 or 10 years old, and they'll basically start to lose control of their hind end. It's the equivalent of ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease in dogs. And, you know, unfortunately, it tends to hit certain breeds harder than others. So, you know, if we have, let's say, like a German Shepherd or a Pembroke Welsh Corgi, or there's other breeds that are, you know, adversely affected by that one. And it's really good information to know, you know, so if you have a puppy that has it, at least you know where things are going. And we're just starting to get into working with other companies that can provide more supportive care. I mean, you can't cure, well, actually, I shouldn't even say that, because nowadays you sort of can cure genetic disease with newer technology that's coming out. But when we started this, there was no cure for genetic disease, and there probably won't be any time in the near future.
Sure.
But knowing what's going to happen can make a big difference. Like for us with Dexter, we knew what was coming. We've thought about, you know, his living situation, and, you know, because when you have a dog that's going blind, you got to support him. There's certain things you can do to make it easier.
Well, and I think it kind of helps, like, if you know you're going to have a very expensive vet bill for palliative care coming up, you can kind of plan for that. You can have an idea of what you might need to be able to support yourself and your pet.
Yeah,
I think this is so neat.
Well, it's interesting. Well, it's interesting you bring that up too, because we have lots of vets that actually also use our testing service. Not obviously for breeding purposes, but more as a diagnostic.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because we've had personal experience, not with us, but with friends of ours that, you know, because a dog, let's say if we use DM as an example, for a veterinarian, DM could look like trauma. It could look like arthritis. It can look like a number of different things.
Right.
And there's much, you know, our test started $29. That's a much less expensive route than doing an MRI, or there's other diagnostics. So we're trying to help sort of educate that population that by the way, here's a new tool. You know, before you go down that road, just make sure. And I hate to say it, we had a friend that had one of those breeds that unfortunately is much more susceptible to DM, and that's what it turned out to be. But this was after they had spent thousands of dollars on other diagnostics. So yeah, this can come in handy for veterinarians just as sort of a very quick, inexpensive screen, just to rule out genetic disease.
I actually, so you probably haven't listened to any of the earlier episodes of the podcast, but my first dog, Max Lieberman, lived to be 15, and he was, you know, my life.
Yeah.
So as he was getting older, he was having trouble with his hips. And I was, of course, you know, struggling with that. And my vet is so kind, and didn't, you know, we did screen Max Lieberman for DM.
Yeah.
And he did not have it. He really just had old age.
Yeah.
And
which, you know, that happens too, actually.
Yeah. Patrick was like, old age is not a disease.
No.
He's 15.
That's genetic and that affects everyone.
Yeah. It's going to happen to everyone at some point.
Right. But I was still in that denial phase of, you know, if I just do acupuncture and more laser and more this, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
And
and it does help. I mean, actually Dexter's got some issues with his back as well. He's, he's an Australian cattle dog, and they can be a little rough on their bodies.
Yeah.
And
I bet.
and he's got some fused discs, and and he can't walk very well, but we've found, like we've got wood floors, and we've tried to, cover with, rugs as much as possible, and we'll put special booties on him so that he doesn't slip. And that's what you got to do. It's taking care of them in later in life.
Yeah. I did all of those things. I put my bed right on the floor so that he could sleep with me. You do these things to make your animal comfortable.
Yeah. No, and it's hard to watch, but like I said, knowing what's in store, I know for us it helped a lot. It helped to know where things were going to go, and it, because if it just would have started happening and he started losing his eyesight, we probably would have headed down a route and gotten a lot of expensive testing done, and it wouldn't have been as smooth of a transition as it has been. We knew it was coming, and we just, it was kind of like, okay, well, it's starting. We know what's happening, and we'll just support him in the best way that we can.
You can make a plan.
Yeah. So it's worked out well. I mean, it was nice to be able to take, a mission, to take we saw the impact that this has. We know personally, we know the impact this can have, and we were able to turn it into something that could help other people.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
Totally awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been lucky. It's, it's and still going, and, people seem to be enjoying the new panels, and, so we just keep growing every day and, keep improving what we do.
That's fantastic. We love hearing stories like that. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really, really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thank you guys for having me. I had a great time.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for listening, and remember, a poodle will change your life. If you'd like to get in touch with either me or Elise, or if you have questions you'd like answered during the podcast, email poodlepeoplepodcast@gmail.com. And if you have questions or want to be put on my wait list for puppies, please visit my website at scotchcornerstandardpoodles.com.